under NPC that's called Lapeng Ekhaya Foundation that is led by Catherine Gog. I would like to thank each and everybody who has voted for me to be here. It is a privilege for me to actually be here because I don't really meet such opportunities every day. So this is not even about personal achievement, but I promise you that it is about service development and availing myself to everyone's concerns. I am going to give Mr. Asive and the stage to come because we don't currently have a secretary, so for him to introduce the topic that we're going to be talking about today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable members, the topic today is institutionalizing youth economic empowerment through legislative innovation for sustainable social and economic development in the Free State. It is informed by the legislatures, by the theme for this sitting, which is institutionalizing youth development through policy and participation. The session must explore how the provincial legislation and institutional framework can be strategically reshaped to ensure meaningful youth participation in the economy, support youth-led enterprises, drive local job creation, and promote access to public procurement opportunities for young people across urban and rural communities. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Now we are going to go down to the House and we are going to give speakers from the DA to actually be the ones who start with the debate. And the first person who's going to be talking to the House will be Wayne Andrews. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Honorable members, Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chair of Chairs, greetings to you, fellow members of the House. I hereby move on the following motion for urgent consideration and adoption by the House. The motion titled today is Institutionalizing the Response to the Student Housing Crisis, Repurposing State-Owned Buildings into Purpose-Built Student Accommodation across the Free State. I move on this motion, noting that the Free State Province is experiencing a severe shortage of affordable and safe student accommodation, with institutions of higher education in the province, such as the University of the Free State, the Central University of Technology, and many others facing an estimated shortfall of over 50,000 student beds. Many students are currently forced into overcrowded, informal, and unsafe housing conditions, negatively impacting their academic performance, mental health, and other personal safety issues. There exists a significant number of unused, abandoned, or underutilized state-owned buildings and land parcels within the urban center, such as Mangaung, as well as in other regions and towns like Qwaqwa, Welkom, and Zastron. The Presidential Student Housing Infrastructure Program aims to deliver 300,000 new student beds nationally by 2030. And the Free State, in this regard, must leverage this initiative urgently to our advantage. As the DA, we believe that purpose-built student accommodation provides a long-term, scalable, and dignified solution-based initiative to students on this housing crisis. The repurposing of underused or unused public infrastructure represents a smart, sustainable, and cost-effective way to drive local economic development, infrastructure-led job creation, as well as social upliftment. A coordinated partnership between all three spheres of government, the educational institutions, and private sectors, which is very important in this regard, and student bodies, which I strongly advocate for, is essential to unlocking the funding, the land, and the institutional support that this motion would require. Student housing is not merely a logistical need, but it is a constitutional and a developmental priority for young people in the Free State, for the empowerment of young people and the future of this province, as young people are key stakeholders in the contribution of how this province functions. Therefore, I submit to the House that this youth parliament resolves to call on the Premier of the Free State Province to immediately convene a multi-stakeholder task team that will comprise of representatives from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, preferably the Minister, the Department of Higher Education and Training, preferably the Portfolio Committee, National Treasury, because colleagues, money must come, NSFAS, the UFS, CUT, and other TVET colleges throughout the province, the Mangaung Metro with the mayor and his MMC team, and the relevant municipal entities throughout the province. To mandate and identify, as well as mapping, the public release and the list of state-owned buildings and land in the province that are available for use to this specific project. So we recommend that we launch this pilot project in Mangaung as a flagship proof and concept for broader replication across the province. So the purpose of fast-tracking and legislative zoning processes must be at the center of this for the reuse of public buildings, for student housing, and advocate for the streamlining of public-private partnership that regulates new laws for this motion that will be brought forward. So we urge, in conclusion, for student representation in all the planning and implementations and the forums that will deliberate on this matter, and that members of this House will take it into consideration that this is something that we strongly need to move on effective immediately. Honorable Speaker, members of the House, we cannot allow for thousands of South Africans to pursue higher education in this province while living in squabbles and insecurities in many ways. If we are serious about youth and youth empowerment in this province and the economic transformation of this province, I ask that we submit this, that we adopt this and we vote accordingly on this so that students in this province can have a dignified, safe, and also acceptable housing. Let this motion be the beginning of a real, tangible shift where government property serves the people of this province and where students are not just given classrooms and lecture halls, but can be given a chance to thrive. So I move. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So from the DO also, we would like to appoint Mbali Munaba, and she will have 10 minutes on the stand.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon, honorable members. We, as the Democratic Alliance, would like to submit a policy proposal under the theme Institutionalizing Youth Economic Empowerment through Legislative Innovation for Sustainable Social and Economic Development in the Free State. Now, the title of this policy would then be called the Free State Public-Private Collaboration for Youth Development Policy. What is the purpose of this policy? The policy will seek to address youth unemployment by creating a structured pathway for skills development, job training and economic participation through legislative measures that incentivize private sector involvement. The policy will do the following. It will provide, firstly, youth with job training, skills development, while earning a stipend. Secondly, it will encourage corporate social responsibility by compelling companies contracting with the provincial government to retain youth employees. And lastly, it will further grow companies through subsidizing them upon completion of the program. What would then be the main objectives of these policies if honorable members were to ask? It would obviously then reduce youth unemployment by integrating them into meaningful work and skills programs. It will secondly strengthen municipal service delivery by leveraging youth labor for community development projects. It will further foster public-private partnerships, which is something that is quite critical, by incentivizing businesses to invest in youth development. Then lastly, it will ensure sustainable economic growth by equipping youth with employable skills. Now, the key legislative mechanisms of this particular policies would be as follows. First and foremost, we would encourage the private sector's participation in youth empowerment. I think it is a high time that we really do take the relationship between the public and the private seriously. How would that take place? Businesses, first and foremost, that hire and train youth in roles addressing municipal service delivery, such as, for instance, infrastructure maintenance, waste management, and digital services, which we all know is a national crisis at the moment. Municipalities are collapsing. And so when businesses do hire, these businesses will qualify for skills development levy, exemptions for companies that meet youth unemployment targets. And secondly, municipal will get tax rebates. So essentially, if we collaborate with municipalities and the business sector to implore them to hire a certain percentage of young people into their businesses so that they can actually solve the service delivery issues through being contracted, then it could really be a 2-in-1. We would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, as English people would know, or English speakers. Secondly, mandatory youth employment for government contractors. So under this subheading, companies with a prescribed turnover bidding for provincial government tenders must commit to hiring and retaining a minimum percentage of youth employees in their workforce. Emphasis on must. Secondly, there will be non-compliance may result in penalties or disqualifications from future tenders who refuse to apply that certain target. We often speak about drafting policies, but it is also important that we understand that implementation needs to play a major role once you've drafted the policy. What would the role of the provincial government, what would the role of the Free State provincial government then be? First and foremost, it would enact the public-private collaboration for youth empowerment, this policy, to enforce compliance in accordance with Section 3.1, which explicitly entrusts the NYDA with coordinating with youth development programs at province and local levels, encompassing government, NGOs, and the private sector. It will implore, and we would like to implore rather, the Office of the Speaker to establish a Free State Youth Employment Fund to co-finance these businesses for stipends and training programs. That's where the public and the private partnership then really comes in. And obviously, to ensure that this implementation actually takes place, we would do continuous monitoring and evaluate private sector compliance through a youth employment compliance unit, which will be solely responsible to ensuring that this policy is implemented and it's sustainable. What would the role of the municipalities then be in this three-way? Because I've spoken about the business sector, I've spoken about the public sector as well, which is province and local municipalities. This is where intergovernmental relations actually now takes place. The municipalities would identify Key service delivery gaps. We all know that there is an issue with streetlights. We have poor road maintenance. And so those are the gaps, right? And so in identifying these service delivery gaps, youth labor will then be deployed. Secondly, partnerships with businesses will be used to match with relevant training and employment opportunities. Right. So essentially we're saying local municipalities identify, first and foremost, I think we've already identified the issues. There's service delivery is a problem, and we know what kinds of service delivery issues are there. So we're imploring municipalities to identify the gaps, and we're saying, listen, as the province, here is a policy that actually assists young people to work, to ensure that there is paved roads, that they get skills to pave roads, that they get skills to fix lights, that they get skills to ensure that there's overall infrastructure improvement. And in that way, it's intergovernmental relationships, but it's an intergovernmental relationship because the province will enforce this legislation onto local municipalities. Let's not using force, we'll rather just ensure that it actually takes place, intervene. There will also be, following that, a stipend-based work-learn model. Youth engaged in municipal service delivery projects will receive a government-subsidized stipend. Especially in this high unemployment rate, we need money to put food on the table. And of course, we need to participate in the economy. And how do you participate? By buying. Very simple. Secondly, we will have training programs which will be accredited by CETA to ensure recognized qualifications. It is one thing to acquire a skill, but it is a completely different ballgame when you can acquire a skill and be accredited for it, so that when you decide that after this program with the municipality or the business sector, you have the skill to move away and perhaps even start your own business if you so will it. The second element then will be corporate social responsibility, which is a familiar term. But we want to enforce corporate social responsibility in a slightly different manner. Firstly, we would have large corporations operating in the Free State, which must allocate a portion of their corporate social responsibility budgets specifically to youth skills development programs. We're imploring them. Secondly, the corporate social responsibility contributions towards youth employment will be credited. Those particular businesses will be credited in the form of deducting their municipal rates. So we're saying, listen, if you are, as a business, take in young people, you develop them, you give them skills, and you give them a job with a stipend, we will ensure that your rates and taxes are reduced. That's an incentive. And I think a lot of businesses would actually like that kind of incentive. The following would be obviously continuous monitoring and evaluation. We would obviously have quarterly reporting on youth unemployment, or rather youth employment numbers by participating businesses. Secondly, we will have annual impact assessments on service delivery improvements and youth skills progression. This will give us an indication that if this policy is really working, unemployment will be reduced. And secondly, there will be a vast improvement in service delivery. Hence why it is so important that implementation plays a role. It is also important that monitoring, continuous monitoring and evaluation also takes place. Secondly, there will be penalties again for non-compliance. So if you make an agreement with us, or rather with a local municipality, and you don't meet those targets, then surely we will give you penalties based on this particular legislation. What are the expected outcomes? I've already slightly highlighted that. There would be increased youth employment rates in the Free State, which means a reduction of unemployment. There would be improved service delivery through youth-led initiatives. There will be a stronger public-private collaboration in skills development, and obviously, what is most important under this particular theme, sustainable economic growth through a skilled,
Honorable Member,
employable
we lost
youth
track of the
workforce.
timer, and it looks like your 10 minutes are up. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Well,
Okay, we're going to go to the EFF. They didn't submit the names of the people who are going to be speaking. Oh, they have? Okay. Okay, yeah, we're going to call them now. Can do it. The Deputy Speaker will do the honors. Thank you. Beforehand, can I please allow the people who are seated at the back to find available seats to join the people in the front? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, can I assist? I was saying, Speaker, that at least you should say delegates who are at the back can come. Because we're going to have a problem of guests coming in the house. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. Noted.
Point of clarity. Point of clarity. My speaker,
You may speak.
thank you. I was asking if we would be allowed to ask the presenters questions maybe while they are speaking, because there are some things that we may not understand. So will we be allowed to ask questions?
I think because we've really ran out of time, we cannot do that.
Can we please have a representative from the Economic Freedom Fighters, Olani Ramatlotlo? I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong.
Thank you very much, Speaker, Deputy Speaker. Collective and colleagues, in the Free State, the youth is seen to be taken seriously through nicely enrolled and nicely marketed programs of departments like DSTIA and NYDA. But when you go to the pits of Free State, where disadvantaged families stay and where those who don't have connections live without electricity, you realize that the youth of the Free State is only important when it is convenient for the leadership of the Free State. And I'm going to explain why I say what I say. There is no youth development office in Mangaung Metro, and I'm not sure if there is in Lejuliputz or any other region, because young people and their representation is only a mimic that is said on mics.
Point of order, Speaker.
And if this house,
Can you please pause, Speaker? What is your point of order?
No, thanks, Speaker. I was saying the honorable member must at least be statistical and not guess these things, because it's dangerous when you come to this house with untested numbers and saying where this is not happening and where this is happening.
I would like to please allow the person who's standing in front to continue, because he is running out of time. We're already out of time. Please do not disturb him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I am the Secretary of the Youth Council in Mangaung, which means, my brother, when it comes to matters of young people in Mangaung, I definitely know more than you. And when you look at the bylaws that are created, they say, no, young people must get 30% of this, 30% of that, 30% of that. But there are no actual quotas. And some of you might not know what a quota is. A quota is a prescription document to how you are going to supply or how you are going to spend the money given to you. There's no quota for young people. I don't know in other regions, but definitely not in Mangaung Metro. And this might seem like I'm reducing this house to regions, but the reality is Maspales and regions are the coordinating structures in Mangaung. The province oversees and passes it on to national. That's why this is important to be discussed in this house as well. So there is no tangible evidence that the province and the leadership of the Free State take young people seriously in any way. Now, when you look at the presentations we had, I want to start from day one. We had a presentation from NYDA on how they are helping people, and I'm not gonna cast aspersions or say things that are gonna need their response. But in those documented DSTIA and NYDA presentations, there is no clear view of whether or not there are background checks of the young people that are put into those programs. And why do I say this? Because the young people in Free State have to be able to advocate mostly for the most disadvantaged young people in Free State. And if this house here is not going to take young people seriously, and we are preoccupied with our selfish interests.
On a
for
point
the
of
next-
order, Speaker,
What is your point of order?
may the latter speaker kindly put in simple terms, how do you classify a very disadvantaged person? Reason being, I'm a very disadvantaged youth. I'm unemployed. I'm living in an RDP house. I do not have any legacy left by my forefathers. How do you classify the disadvantaged? Thank you very much.
That's exactly how I classify it. You just answered your own question perfectly. So, there
On a point of order, Speaker,
Yes, Honorable Member.
the latter speaker cannot be generalizing other people by saying the most disadvantaged. By listening to him, I think he refers those most disadvantaged with no bread on the table or no shelter or whatsoever.
Honorable Member.
Yet again,
Honorable Member, can you please avoid a dialogue and allow the speaker to complete? If you rise on a point of order, can it please be a point of order to avoid delays? Let's allow the speaker to finish speaking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. So this house here needs to advocate that municipalities, which are the key coordinating structures of the province, have youth development offices. That municipalities in their supply chain procurement processes, that they have quotas for young people. And we can only do this if we take this process of policy changing and legislative redesign seriously. We are done voting, we've done everything. Now it's a time for direction. And my input to the direction that this house should take is that young people who are in Dinaweng, young people who are in Taflacht, young people who don't even know what it means to explain how disadvantaged they are, don't have a voice. That's why they are wallowing in drugs. That's why they are wallowing in the mess that they have created. Some of them are BTKs, some of them are different groups because there is no alternative. There's no one who reaches them. We end up here fighting over positions, and then afterwards we meet after 3 years to come and fight again over positions. So it is my plea to this house that, and I'm not pleading on many things because I want my speech to be direct and concise. It's 3 very simple things that would change the life of a young person in every single municipality. The only thing I mentioned were quotas, that young people must be represented in the quotas that are taken out by every supply chain in this province. I said young people must have a youth development office that answers to the youth council of every single district and municipality in the Free State. Because without those, we will forever scream, we will forever bend tires, we'll forever fight for positions, but we'll never change anything. And we're going to be old and also come preside over young people who are doing the same thing. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Point of order, Speaker.
What is your point of order?
May I kindly raise another question to the last speaker? Okay, thank you very much. I think your presentation is mainly based in Mangaung municipality, yet you are part of the youth council in Mangaung, right? In the other districts and other local municipalities, like where I come from specifically, I'm a full resident of Machabeng local municipality. We have 2 YDOs, youth development officers. I am a full resident in Lejwele-Putswa district. We have a YDO. So may you kindly get to fix your house in order. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Can you please get the next speaker? Kiamo Betwe Thabedi.
Thanks, Speaker. Greetings to the Economic Freedom Fighters Youth Command leadership in the Free State led by Tato Mkatsane and fighter Tebogo Sako. National, it's Commissar Sihle Lonzi and my coordinator, Commissar Naredi Chirwa. Honorable Speaker, fellow delegates, young leaders in our province, greetings. Today I rise not to speak, but to cry for young people in the Free State. Young people in the Free State cry for hunger, frustration, and pain. We are here to talk about the institutionalizing of youth empowerment through legislative innovation. But how can we talk about the future when the present is really bleeding? In Botshabelo, a 19-year-old student was stabbed on her way from campus. In Qwaqwa, a young engineer was gunned down in broad daylight. These are not just statistics. It is the future that we have lost. And while this is happening, the provincial government is very silent. Let's talk about the economic empowerment, not in theory, but in reality. Our youth faces daily. At Motheo TVET College, 44 million meant to improve learning condition, it's nowhere to be found. The principal is in court, not for justice, but to suppress the truth. What are we saying about it as young people? In Bloemfontein, the infrastructures are abandoned like nobody's business. Honorable Speaker, what must we do as young people? Number 1, Youth Economic Empowerment Bill. We must mandate 40% of all provincial procurement and public tenders to go to young-owned business, not as a favor, but as a right. Secondly, Speaker, the Free State Innovation Hub Act, we really need it. We need to establish youth-driven innovation and enterprise hub in every region with funding pipelines, mentorship, and space to start up, especially in the township and rural areas. Bacha ba rona, they do have ideas, but they don't have the land and place to come and deal with this. As the economic freedom fighters, we all know that we deal with land. What we need to do as young people in the Free State, we need land access framework for young farmers. We all know that the Free State is an agricultural province. We need to prioritize youth in land redistribution, include subsidies and startup for grant. We have a lot of young graduates who are in institutions like Glen, who put their career, for them to put their career in practice, they need land. It's high time re ke re bue ka expropriation of land, not isuta batho ba bang mare e re suta kaofela. Fourthly, Speaker, we need to amend the Provincial Infrastructure Act, direct municipalities
to refurbish and unused government buildings into youth empowerment centers for skills development, digital literacy, and entrepreneurship incubation. The fifth one, Speaker, it will be the public reporting legislation. We need to require the Office of the Premier and the Department of Economic Development to publish quarterly youth economic indicators tracking employment, enterprise development, and land access. We need a youth development framework backed up by laws, not feel-good speeches during the month of young people. Because if it's not written in legislature, it will never be implemented. Why are these laws that I've spoken about necessary? They are necessary because the economic empowerment is not charity, it is justice. And justice demands intentional legal binding action. Because graduates are not looking for handouts, they are not looking for EPWP, they are looking for a fighting chance. Because we are tired of being told that we must be patient, we are the future. We are not the future, we are the present as young people. Let us be clear. It's time to institutionalize youth participant, not just through programs, but through binding legislation that holds government accountable with penalty for non-compliance. In closing, Speaker, changes will not come to our young people if we are going to wrap it in a ribbon. It will only come when we legislate it, when we write our angers into policy, when we turn our pain into laws that protect and uplift the next generation. To the young future of the Free State, don't wait to be invited to the tables. Write your own legislation. Demand your share. We are just not citizens. We are architects of our future. Let us legislate the future. Let us institutionalize empowerment. Let us build a Free State where youth do not survive, but they lead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Since you have a few minutes left in your time, is there any questions? Okay, we'll move to the African National Congress. Can you please have our first speaker, Boitumelo Mash?
No, let me take this opportunity to greet the House at large, greet the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chair of Chairs. Comrades, here are my key arguments for institutionalizing youth economic empowerment. Economic growth and job creation, supporting youth enterprises and promoting access to public procurement opportunities for young people. Secondly, meaningful youth participation in institutionalizing youth economic empowerment ensures that young people have a seat at the table in decision-making processes, enabling them to contribute to the development of their communities. Innovation and entrepreneurship, providing support to youth-led enterprises, the province can foster innovation, leading the development of new products, services, and industries. Institutionalizing youth economic empowerment, the province can create a supportive environment for young people to participate in the economy and drive sustainable social and economic development. Legislative innovation, strategic reshaping of the provincial legislation can ensure meaningful youth participation in the economy and support youth-led enterprises. Collaboration and partnership. collaboration between government and private sector, civil society of youth economic empowerment initiatives. Comrades, as the African Congress, we have a document that is drafted that is called the Student Charter. The Student Charter, it's a charter that, it's a document that is there to provide necessary tools that student needs for their own struggle, comrades. Honorable Speaker, as I stand here in front of you today, I would want to touch on issue of our accommodations, our student accommodation in the Free State. As young people of the Free State, we believe that the office of the Premier should ensure that it invites the necessary stakeholders to fix that dire situation that is happening in the higher institutions, comrades. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the Student Charter seeks to address issue of curriculum that is no longer relevant, especially in TVET sectors. Decolonization and knowledge of reclamation. Indigenous knowledge system such as IKS must be integrated across disciplines, ensuring the African philosophies, ethics and belief systems shape academic inquiry and professional practice. Language justice and inclusivity. Language policies include the agenda of true multigenius, must elevate indigenous language and medium instruction, research and intellectual discourse, ensuring accessibility and cultural relevance in education. Revolutionizing TVET for workforce development. TVET institution must focus exclusively on technical and vocational programs that equip students with industrial relevant skills and drive economic transformation. Accountability and transparency from the SETAs and training providers. SETAs and other funding bodies must provide clear data on the following: the number of students who have received and currently receiving funding, the number of students undergoing training relative to the total number of funded students, the historical placements of students detailing where they have been placed, the nature of employment, and the effectiveness of placement programs. Employment and placement support. A robust placement strategy must be established to connect students with relevant job opportunities, post-higher education. Employment placement must be monitored to track student outcomes, ensuring successful transition into the workforce. Employment will primarily exist within the state. Post-graduation training and skills development. All students must have access to funded and accredited training programs that increase employability and work readiness. Institutions must collaborate with SETAs and other training providers, ensure that students are informed about available training opportunities. As I thank you, Speaker.
We will take questions since the speaker has a few minutes left. Honorable Wane.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I just want to state on the record that at least the DA and the NC agree on one thing in this first sitting, and that is the issue of accommodation. And he carefully characterized that phenomenon, and especially speaking after me, so that means our contributions as the DA were quite effective to the ANC. Thank you very much.
Honorable member.
Yes, you can hear me, right? I wanted to ask the speaker, can you please clarify for me? Are you saying that we adjust the current legislation that has been set and structured to change, or as the DA and the EFF has suggested, that we form a new legislation structure that is directed at the youth empowerment?
Speaker, I didn't get the last part of the question. Can I get clarity? Can she repeat the last part of the question so that we can proceed?
Can you please reiterate, Honorable Member? Thank you.
I said, as the DA and the EFF has suggested that we form a new legislation structure that is directed at the youth empowerment, or are you suggesting that we change the current structures that has been set by the legislation to adjust itself for the youth?
No, Speaker, I think I was very clear to say we don't necessarily have to change the legislative structure. Okay, we don't necessarily have to change the legislative structure, but we therefore need to change, place new legislation within that.
Can I state something? That's what I'm asking, because if you have heard what the DA and the EFF has suggested, is that we form a new act, a new structured legislature that will deal with youth empowerment. So that's why I'm asking. I wanted to know, are you suggesting that we adjust the current legislation, or are you agreeing with the EFF and the DA that we form a new act, a new bill, a new law that will allow youth empowerment?
Speaker, like I said, I believe we should adjust instead of changing the entire legislation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Your time is up. Can we please have the next speaker for the African National Congress, Honorable Itumeleng Tsholo.
My name is Honorable Itumeleng Tsholo, and I'd like to start off by greeting our newly elected officials and the House at large. My contribution will be basically policy and legislature, one after the other, so please listen carefully, guys. Honorable members, sorry. The first point is we want to increase industrialization through subsidies that are geared towards the resources that the Free State has to revitalize manufacturing processes. And within this, we want to formulate legislation into incentives that will entice the private sector to play a more significant role in decreasing things like youth unemployment and a lack of skills. And the lack of skills that the youth has is contributed towards by their education, The education that we get, it's not equipping us for life after school and to become contributors into the economy. We want to decrease the dependence on government, because it is a characteristic of state failure that the government is the largest employer in the country. So this goes back to how we want to increase the private sector's role in employment and skills development. We also would propose to establish oversight committees into the departments that are geared towards economic and social development, such as DESTIA and the Department of Social Development as an example, to serve as accountability structures to bridge the gap between departments perceiving themselves as effective while the public/youth feels that they are ineffective. And this has been seen by the deliberations between us and the departments that presented here. The departments were standing here giving us figures saying they are assisting the youth, but we, the youth, know that they're doing barely anything for us. And we want to strengthen collaboration within the government departments in the Free State to better assist the youth and with youth development, especially in the economic sphere. And again, with regards to the local economy, we suggest policy framework to reduce barriers to entry into industries where it is a struggle to penetrate, such as the energy and mineral industries, and this includes making it easier to acquire petroleum wholesale licenses to ensure the youth can penetrate that very lucrative market. Other industries where barriers are high include the construction industry, the telecommunication industry, and the liquor industry, as we have noted that getting a liquor license is very difficult. But within the liquor license issue, we will again request that stricter measures are taken to ensure that what was proposed by the EFF does not continue happening, where we have taverns and clubs operating within close vicinities to schools and institutions of higher learning. We also call for formal legislation where the required experience for employment employment will be determined by job specifications. We say formal legislation because it has been previously stated that entry-level roles will no longer require experience, but that is still continuing to happen. So one of our proposals is to enact a Free State Digital Youth Empowerment Bill to subsidize internet connectivity in rural and urban areas. As per the report given by the NYDA said that it approached the DPSA to remove this thing where you have to hand deliver CVs. So the NYDA said it championed that. Now we can submit our CVs online to the DPSA whenever there are vacancies. But now the new issue is that we don't all have internet access. So you want an establishment into internet access into urban and rural areas so that the youth is able to access these opportunities at a broader scale. And then we also move for the establishment of more NYDA branches. The speaker of the NYDA mentioned that the NYDA has 4 branches spread across Free State, and the Free State has more than 50 towns and cities. So it is a disservice to expect 4 branches, and not all 4 are fully functional. Some have very limited capabilities, but they must serve more than 50 towns/cities. And then we move for the establishment of innovative hubs and coding academies in every district. This will help us to be more effective and be more receptive to the 4th Industrial Revolution, because we are lagging behind in terms of things like that. We do not have the capability for anything that the 4th Industrial Revolution has for us. We cannot code, we cannot do anything in the IT sector or in the ICT sector. We are just taught in our schools things that have no bearing on what the world is going to become. We are very left behind in terms of what we are being equipped for in this country, well, and in this province as well, because Free State is considered one of the rural provinces in South Africa. We also would like to reform public procurement to prioritize youth-led businesses. This legislation will include stricter measures into confirming that the businesses that are given these procurements are able to deliver, because it is an injustice that some business continue to get funding, but they do not deliver on what they are supposed to. And all departments and institutions that take part in youth development must assign mentors and assistants to the businesses that they will be providing funding to. This will assist to curb young entrepreneurs being overwhelmed and ultimately having to close their businesses down. In the Free State, the failure rate for small and medium enterprises is 70 to 80%. So this means within the first 3 years, 70 to 80% of youth businesses or small to medium enterprises fail because of a lack of support or incompetency in management. We also propose a policy to train the youth that is interested in agriculture into farming natural fibers. So natural fibers include things like cotton and also farming sheep that will be used for wool. And I speak to this with regards to the textile industry. When Destea and Nedbank spoke, they spoke about their contributions to the textile industry. And I mentioned before that the textile industry was destroyed by China, which is an industrial superpower. They are able to produce at mass amounts. So it is then cheaper to import from them than to produce ourselves. So if we equip farmers to produce things like cotton, wool, and silk, we will be able to revitalize the textile industry ourselves. And this will make it cheaper for entrepreneurs to produce proudly South African products. Okay, that's the end of my submission. Thank you.
The speaker still has time. Is there any questions? None, thank you very much.
Oh, there's a question there.
Oh, there's a question. Can I please see? You can speak, sorry.
Thank you, Speaker. It's in fact a comment rather than a question. I would like to applaud the honorable member with such a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that a question for the speaker?
No, thank you, Speaker. No, it's not a question, but just to expand on what the Honorable Speaker just presented, more on the issue of economy. We need to make policies regarding the local economic development, because when we speak about the economy, we need to understand that where there is a crisis, you find the crisis happening in our communities, and then we don't have necessary support or maybe activities that are happening regarding our local economic development, because you find the STEA is having a huge space between itself and then local economic development offices.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for your input. Honorable Naledi can speak.
No, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity. I'm also not going to be asking a question, but I think there's an area in which we need to really look into when we're speaking about the economic industry of the province, rather. Destea, in its presentation about 2 days ago, one of its focus areas is on the special economic zones, which are located in various regions. I come from a very small town called Harrismith. And in Harrismith, in a township called Tsiame, there is a special economic zone, of which 10 years ago, the same factories that were existing in that special economic zone are the very same ones that you'll find today. That would mean that in the special economic zones, there is no progress in terms of expanding. And necessarily, if we're unable to ensure that, she spoke about extending rather into the textile industry. At the end of the day, for you to extend into that, at the heart of it, you're going to need factories operating in that sector. But secondly, what Free State is one of the, not one, but is rather one province that has a great potential in the agricultural sector. Now, there is not much that is being done insofar as being able to capitalize on that sector, young people particularly. You cannot tell me you are saying that you are leading agriculturally, but you do not invest agriculturally in the development of young people skills-wise in that sector. You've got, I think, about one agricultural institute or college, Glen, in the entire province. And then maybe at the University of the Free State and CUT, you'll find faculties here and there. But the point is, if you want to be able to really capitalize on agriculture, you need to, from a skills level, invest.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
We've run out of time. Thank you. Can we please have the last speaker for the African National Congress, Honorable Mandi Kauswan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your surname.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the House, and fellow youth representatives. Our province can no longer afford to treat youth development as a ceremonial gesture. It must be deeply embedded in our laws, budgets, and government systems. Too often, young people in the Free State have been spoken about rather than spoken to, included in the varying statements rather than decision-making. Youth development is not afterthought. It is foundation for just and prosperous society. Our youth face triple burden: unemployment, economic exclusion, drugs, and substance abuse. These challenges rob many of their potential and dignity. Despite many policies aimed at addressing these issues, progress remains slowly and fragmented. Without legally binding framework, youth development remains a promise unfulfilled. To address these challenges, we propose the Free State Youth Economic Empowerment Bill. This bill will mandate that at least 30% of public procurement reserved for youth-owned businesses require department municipalities to submit youth economic inclusion reports and establish youth enterprises zones in townships and rural areas to stimulate local economic growth. Recognizing the digital divide, the NYDA must expand its role by creating ICT hubs in underserved communities, offering free internet, digital skills, training and support for youth-led startups. Beyond access, we must ask ourselves, are our education system ready? Are our curricula aligned with the demands of fourth industrial revolution? We must ensure learners are equipped with skills in artificial intelligence, robotics, data analytics, cybersecurity. This requires urgent collaboration between the Department of Education, Higher Education, Science and Technology, and industry partners. Municipalities must strengthen governance by formalizing youth desks, guaranteeing youth representations in integrated development plan forums, procurement panels, and budget hearings, and support the creation of Free State Youth Assembly to amplify youth voices in policy. Substance abuse remains a critical concern in our townships. We advocate for adopting of the community-integrated methadone-assisted recovery program, a home-based, multi-sectoral model delivered by trained community workers, integrating health, social development, education, police, justice, and local government services. This program offers accessibility, stigma-free recovery linked to skills training and employment. We also raise concern over the stalled Fredderford refurbishment project at the Fredderford Dome. That project was completed in 2009, and then it was never functioned fully. And then there was refurbishment program in 2023. And then until now, that project is not completed. It's a project, a missed opportunity for tourism, job creation, and youth entrepreneurship. We urge the Free State government to provide oversight, ensure transparency, and prioritize its completion. Our heritage should be a catalyst for inclusion, economic development, and unfinished promise. And this year doesn't do anything about that project, and its silence is deafening. The Department of Justice ineffectiveness response to drug-related crimes is alarming. Despite police arrests, courts frequently release drug dealers without consequences, undermining community trust and allowing drug trafficking to persist. We call on the Department of Justice to strengthen prosecution, prioritize community safety, and adopt zero tolerance for drug trafficking. This legislature must lead by allocating adequate budgets, enacting legislation, and enforcing youth development through annual audits, youth quotas in tenders, and coordinated interdepartmental performance. Honorable members, the time to legislate for an inclusive, resilient, and drug-free Free State is now. We must empower youth as agent transformation, not just a receipt of aid. We thank you, Honorable Speaker and members, for the opportunity to raise the urgent needs and hopes for our youth. Your leadership and commitment to Crucial is building Free State that truly works for all, especially its youth who will shape our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Speaker still has time. Are there any questions? Okay, Honourable Wane.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. On the issue that the Honourable Member raised during his speech, I'd like to ask the Honourable Member that assumed the platform, in terms of progressive and advancement in your leadership capacity where you are from, I've heard you, formulate your grievances on the platform through your speech and through the Speaker and in the House. But I want to ask, have you had any approach towards how you would personally deal with it, contacting the departments, collaborating with your local municipality in that regard to get the kind of, advancement on that project that you mentioned? Because it's the very same department ran by the STIA, who's ran by the ANC, whose position you strongly advocate for in this House. And that is why I'm asking, is that through your membership as the ANC, I wanted to ask you, how far have you been able to deliberate to get those matters fixed in your community for your constituency? Thank you, through you, Deputy Speaker.
Okay, right. Thank you, Honorable Member. We did our best to raise the concern through our local representatives, and then there's a what is this? A committee for that project. We also engaged with it, but we don't get clarity. We also escalated the matter to DSTA itself, but we haven't got responses. So hence, that project, the refurbishment project, it started 2023, and then it was supposed to be finished by 2024, last year, September. But till date now, it hasn't.
Deputy Speaker, through you.
No, there was a hand.
Okay, it's a point of clarity.
Okay, what's your point of
Well,
clarity?
I just want to close it off. So you're then saying that the STIA, led by the ANC, shows dysfunction, and the ANC advances.
On a point of order,
a dysfunctional.
Please
Can I-
pause. What's your point of order?
Speaker, may the honorable member from the ANC please refrain from putting words in the latter speaker's mouth, please. Thank you.
No, I'm not. Through you, Deputy
Noted.
Not through your
Honourable
dialogue.
Member. Can we please avoid dialogue?
Speaker. Through you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable
So,
Wane.
so in essence, Deputy Speaker, what he advanced in his speech says that the department run by the ANC in this province is dysfunctional. Thank you.
Proposal, Deputy Speaker.
What is your proposal?
Thank you so much. Deputy Speaker, I think if we can maybe take 2 minutes and try to teach members of the House on what is a point of order. Secondly, when there's
Order,
a point
Chair.
of order,
Honourable,
if there's a point of order in the House,
Order, Chair.
what a member, what is it that the member
Deputy
must
Speaker,
do?
there's an order.
yes, Honourable Member.
Thank
I
you.
said a point of order, you haven't even
You
made a
said
ruling.
proposal.
So there cannot be a
You
point.
said
No,
a
that was
proposal.
Okay, it's fine,
proposal.
it's fine.
It was a
I'll-
proposal.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
Honourable
you,
Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Can the member stop insinuating that members of this House do not know the laws and the rules of this House? Because now she's insinuating that we do not know what we're doing here. Can she please
Thank
refrain
you,
from
Honourable
doing
Member.
that?
I will make a ruling on the proposal. The proposal is suppressed. Time is not on our side.
I was not even done. You are suppressing
Honourable
something that you don't
members,
even know, Deputy Speaker.
Are you done speaking?
No, I'm not.
Not
So,
you, the Speaker.
Deputy
on-
Speaker, don't suppress me.
I am suppressing you.
Okay.
Are you done answering, Honourable Manti?
Yes, I think I'm done.
Thank you. Time is up. We are going to give 2 minutes to speakers, to academic, civic, and business for inputs. You may take the podium.
Greetings, honorable members in large, protocol observe, Deputy Speaker, Speaker and Chair of the Chairs. My inputs, they are two. It is very, empowerment opportunities for people with disability. Create an employment opportunities that are inclusive, accessible to youth with disabilities, providing them with sense of unopposed and financial independence. I'm going to the last one speaker, which is disability inclusive policies. Develop and implement policies that promote disability, inclusion, and equality, addressing the required needs and challenges for young people with disability. The speaker, regarding the job opportunities to the old Department of Free State and nationally, we are highly requesting so that once come to issues of job creation, they have to increase our percentage to 2% to 7%. Why I'm saying this through you, Speaker? We are having multi-intellectual disabilities. We are having physical disabilities. We are having blind people. They have to be accommodated as I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. we will take 2 from academics, 2 minutes for inputs.
Can I ask a question, Deputy? May I ask, for civil, for business and organization, how many people are you taking?
2 for business, 2 academic, 2 civic.
Okay, thank you. May I be one of the 2?
From?
From Precious Women's Empowerment Organization.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable member? Academic, okay. We will move in that motion, comrades. We'll start with honorable member from the left. We will conclude with honorable member on the right. Are there any other inputs before? Honorable member, do you want to speak at the back? Yes. You also want to? Comrades, I think maybe I'm not clear. We are taking 2 hands, 2 inputs from academic. We already have 1 from academic. We're taking 2 from business, we're taking 2 from civic. If you're putting your hand up, you're gonna say that you are input from business, input from academic, and so and so and so. Thank you. We already have from civic, we already have from academic. So we already have 2 from civic. So we have 1 left from academic and 2 left from business. So if you want to have inputs, please say that from academic or from business. Honorable Speaker, business, okay. Another one from business, business. And then another one more for academic, no one, done. Can you please move in that manner? We'll start with you, honorable member. Thank you.
Good day, all honorable members. Thank you to the speaker and the deputy speaker for this time. I don't have much to say as I'm not given a lot of time anyways, but I would like us to introduce a Youth Economic Empowerment Act at this provincial level as a mandate that will be able to allocate for the youth-led initiatives, youth quotas in government-funded projects and procurement, provincial development frameworks that prioritize youth job creation. This will be able to encourage innovative policy instruments such as tax incentives for companies employing or mentoring youth, innovation hubs supported by provincial legislation, legally binding commitments to the youth inclusion and economic forums. Why this matters is that legislative innovation gives youth more than promises. It gives them power and protection under law. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable academics, can you please come up?
No, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker, can we just be assisted? I think it was noted that when we enter the house, our phones must be on silent.
Sorry.
So it's
There is a speaker-
unparliamentary.
There is a speaker on the podium. If you are rising, you must rise on a point of order.
No, but it's a problem, Deputy Speaker.
It is.
Honorable member is watching TikTok and we are busy with issues of young people. Is it parliamentary to watch TikTok
Can all honorable
now in the house?
Can all honorable members please put their phones on silence so not to disturb the proceedings? Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. Deputy Speaker and the House at large, I think I rise here and on the podium to speak particularly on a matter that would concern us, those that are coming from the academic space. We listened to presentations, Deputy Speaker, of the Office of the Premier in regards to bursaries. And it is sufficient for us to be able to say that the analysis of the presentation given in that aspect is not enough. There were no stats and there was no indication at all that there is going to be any progress. Up until now, there hasn't been any allocations made to any student in the Free State of the Belt. This Parliament must take a resolution, Deputy Speaker. Must take a resolution, Deputy Speaker, to ensure that there must be a delegation from this Parliament into the selection committee of the bursaries. Now, in about 2019, it is reported that over 8,000 students within the Free State province benefited from the Free State Premier's bursary. Now, to get to a point whereby today there is no student that is benefiting from that program becomes a problem. So we believe that we must be very much decisive on that point, to take a resolution as this Parliament to say, young people must be represented. There's a tendency of sharing these things amongst ourselves of bursaries. So that must end. The selection committee must be comprised of young people to ensure that the process is free and fair. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Can the next speaker that I noted please come to the podium?
Greetings, Honorable Speaker. Greetings, Deputy Speaker. Greetings to Chair of Chairs. Greetings to all members of Youth Parliament and distinguished guests and change makers of our provinces. Okay, thank you. Good day. Ne? What I'm going to talk about is digital marketing in our youth. How can we make a change to our youth in terms of creating things? Economic empowerment of youth sustainability futures. It is urgent. It's urgent and it speaks to need that deeply rooted in the lives of young people across the nation, in township, rural areas, and informal settlement. We are surrounded by youth who are not just waiting for opportunities, but are creating opportunities themselves. Through work, non-profit organizations. Let me begin by salute by those who are in the front line. Masakani Home Based Care, Happy Haven Child Care Protection, and Bram Fisher Community Center. These organizations are more building or banners. They are pillar of hope to run a woman youth who have taken a little, but they have to serve those with even less. They provide protection, education, and food, not because of they are paid, but because of they chose to do. Honorable members, this is not sustainable. Where is our government to support those youth? Where is the system meant to support those organizations run by youth? And how long they must wait to serve our patient alone? In terms of job creation through local entrepreneurship, there are skills development of which they are creating, but then they never get attention. There are waste recycling of which they're supposed to get, but then they never get attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. As you walk off, can the next speaker that I noted please come up?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Speaker. I'd like to commend all of you young people for being here today, especially noting the very credible inputs made by especially the young leaders who did mention just how far the legislation that is proposed will go in ensuring things like skills development and, of course, youth entrepreneurship. Now, in this regard, I've made notes of which my input is based on. Bear with me for a second, please. I'll just find that. Now, with regards to the special economic zones, that is more where my input lies. Now, we've heard, for example, that in Velcom there will be a special economic zone. Now, my concern is, given that this speaks to an import-export market, there's been the Africa Free Trade Agreement, which has been ratified. What are young people doing to make sure that, for example, they're holding accountable institutions such as the Free State Development Corporation to make sure that your inputs are also taking into considerations things like the revival of the tourism sector. I'm not sure how many of you guys are aware, how many of you esteemed representatives are aware of such an initiative such as the BRICS Olympics, which took part 2 years ago, of which I'm quite worried as somebody who is not a youth, that I don't hear much being spoken of such an initiative, because it speaks to also the tourism revival in as far as our country goes. Lastly, also to say that, of course, speaking of the same import-export element, you find that, for example...
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Time is up. Can I please have the next speaker? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for this platform. And I'd also actually like to begin by thanking the organizers of this wonderful initiative. I believe that we have learned a lot. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, I feel, affair, and it's going to look very good on everyone's CV. I would like to begin by saying that as a business owner, I am not going to stand here and lie to say that we don't have initiatives in our government that are meant to fund us. We definitely do. What we lack is the proper governance and the follow-through, because you will be taken from pillar to post until you ultimately give up on applying for the funding or even having hope that you can grow your business further. And just as we are focusing on today with regards to youth empowerment, the whole point of us having businesses is not only to empower myself and make money for myself, but I'd like to employ youth. So it would be wonderful for us to have an initiative. And perhaps I'm the one who's not informed enough, but as far as I know, there aren't enough procedures which enforce that government employees or the employees and the people who are responsible in these institutions are mandated to learn how to govern and to learn how to administer. If that could be something that happens, I really believe that the implementation is what's stopping us, because like I said when I first stood here, I'm not going to say we don't have the initiatives. We just don't have the implementation procedures in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I will give it back to the Speaker to adjourn the sitting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all honorable members for your contribution. I would like to hand it over to Mr. Asive for announcements before we head out to lunch.
Order. Order. Order, please. Point of order, ma'am.
Okay.
I think you have been messed up with something. Did you forget ADEC?
You may speak, ma'am.
Pardon, ma'am?
You may speak.
Or may I speak?
Yeah.
May I hang on?
You may say something, but you should remember that when names were being put in, you didn't want to contribute at first, but the stage is yours. No, your name is not here. You may speak. You may come for announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. To the colleagues in the House, we are going to have lunch after the sitting, number one. And number two, the resolutions that, the resolutions emanating from the submissions and the input that have been made, particularly from today and the past 3 days, will be consolidated and it will be sent to the leaders of the delegation to check, and then thereafter the Office of the Youth, the Office of the Speaker and the Youth Parliament will submit it to the Office of the Speaker when it will ultimately be submitted or presented to the House for adoption. And all other processes shall be communicated to members of Youth Parliament, including but not limited to the formulation of portfolio committees of Youth Parliament and all other activities of Youth Parliament that shall take place from between now, in fact from today. This is inclusive, as I've said, but not limited to the appointment of the constitution of portfolio committees. And then back to House issues, we are going to ask head of delegates from the respective districts and the leaders of political parties from the various political parties from the provincial legislature to lead their delegates from here to a room 15, which will be here, so that you may receive your Youth Parliament package, which will consist of a laptop bag, the jacket, one like the one that I'm wearing, and a card inside from one of our partners. It will be given strictly based on the list that we have. No one will take for anyone. The person that will take is the person that is there. That's one. I have the certificates arrived. Those are the certificates. You can bring one, and Ndadejongi, you can come, and I suppose ceremonially present one, which will be presented to all members that have participated. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the ADS is back, the Acting Deputy Secretary, who they're going to come up. You can take out one. In fact, I think we can do it in this sitting. It's not a big number. We will call you, you will pick up, your certificate will be presented to you, your certificate of participation. The certificate certifies your participation based on the various issues and capacity building that we had done in the training as signed by the Speaker of the Parliament, Honorable Mxolisi Dukwana. I think, Madam Acting Deputy Secretary, you will call the names based on the certificates that you are given, and then you'll present it, and then our photographer will then also do the honors. When we are done with that process, we will move to the bag and jacket process. I must just make this announcement. We tried as far as possible to go with the sizes that we have. It's possible that it's not possible, sizes will run out at some point, but there's not much that we can do. If you want to exchange with someone, you're more than welcome to. Thank you very much. Over to you, Acting Deputy Secretary.
Thank you, Ntate Asive. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chair of Chairs. Honorable members, the certificates that is going to go out now first is just a certificate of participation. This is on behalf of our presiding officers, especially the Speaker, Honorable M.A. Dukwana. I'm going to call Honorable Naledi Moloi. Okay, thank you. Honorable Tali from Motali. Okay. Congratulations. Okay, this is good. Okay, yeah, no, we can. Oh, second, okay, sorry. Honorable Matabiso Raboroko. Actually,
Honorable Sibongile Sithole. Honorable Mami Mchochoko. Honorable Umpile Mate. Honorable Simpiwe Kalipa.